It is absolutely freezing in this warehouse. And this thing is just pumping heat out. Like, I can barely keep my hand in front of those tubes, it's so hot. Okay, so this thing is gonna heat my whole 2,100 square foot uninsulated fabric building. And the crazy part is, it's only gonna cost me about $275 to build. So I myself, like plenty of you, was tired of freezing my balls out here, and I didn't wanna spend a couple grand on propane or running electric heaters all day. So I decided to build my own wood burner that's cheap, simple to build, and will heat this whole 2,100 square foot uninsulated fabric building. So the main body of this build is going to be this fuel tank that I picked up for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. Now you can find these all day for around that price. I believe it's 300 gallons. It's 5 foot long by 2.5 foot wide by 4 foot tall total. It's pretty thick and solid. I don't think it's as flimsy as, you know, those little fuel barrels that you buy and they're double stacking them. That's pretty thin stuff. This stuff's pretty thick wall for what it is. And it already has legs on it. It's already the right height. And like I said, it's long enough where I can just shove whole logs in there if I need to. So it should heat this whole place with no problem. Also for this build, I picked up 4 bags of sand, 4 boxes of fire brick, and I bought a whole sheet of 16 gauge steel, which I doubt I'll need the whole sheet for. And I also bought some tubing. So I only need 2 of these tubes because I'm doing 5 foot sections that go into there. So my plan with this thing is I'm gonna make a template, and what I want to do is about from here up, I want to put tubes inside of here. Probably do maybe 5 right across the front, and then maybe, you know, 3 up top on top of that, maybe 2 up here. And then down below here, I'm going to cut a door and make my own door. And below the door is where I'm going to make the slide where you can slide it open and get air in. And then below that should be sand and fire brick. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get some cardboard and just draw out my template for the top here where the tubes are gonna go. And then I'm just gonna kind of measure everything else out, measure where my door goes. I kind of just measured up where I thought the fire brick would be. And then from there, where I want the openings for the air inlet. And then this is gonna be for my door right here where the lines are. And then I came up above that and I started making my tube hole template. So I did this so that I can keep it lined up on the front and the back. So I can just pull this off, stick it on the back, mark all those, drill those out, and then when the tubes go through, they should line up front to back. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it will help when I try to stick the tubes through and line them up. So I'm starting off with 11 2-inch tubes. I think that should be plenty for now, especially for how long this thing is. It's so long that those long 5 foot tubes inside of there should get really, really hot. And then it's also gonna help me just a little bit on the backside when I go to make the box. So I'm gonna keep it square, and I can keep the box just kind of small on the back there and then stick my fan to it. So now I'm gonna mark all those holes and start drilling them out. So I did get this 2-inch hole saw right here and arbor, and this is what I'm gonna use to actually drill the holes. All right, so as you can tell, I'm onto the last 2 tubes right here, sliding them in. And I wanted to show you guys how I've been doing it. So what I did was I just stripped all this paint on the front so I can get a good weld surface. And I've been cutting these tubes into sections of 5 foot and 1/4 inch long. And like I told you, I took a hole saw, I drilled all these holes. I used a 2-inch hole saw, and it's like perfect. Like, it's actually a snug fit. So what I want to do is I want to put all these tubes in here and weld them in before I cut my door or cut the vent, so that I can maintain that rigidity up here. I didn't want a bunch of holes and then this cut out and then that cut out and everything starts to get floppy on me. So what I've been doing is I beveled the ends of my tube, and I took this piece of PVC like electrical conduit, and I just been sticking it through the hole on both ends. Now once it's through the hole, I'll take my pipe, slide it over this, kind of get it going in there, and then I go back and I push this almost all the way through so it's coming out the end of the pipe. Then that way it has a nice guide to get inside of there. Then I push it all the way through, boom, and then the other side I kind of lift it with this and kind of get it into place and pull it out. There it is, boom. So beveling the ends of these pipes really helped me get them in there. You can see here I put a nice bevel. I just used my belt sander and put a bevel on there. You can see there's barely any room between these pipes here, so which will give me a nice tight fit, and I won't have to worry about jumping a gap to weld here. So let me get the last one in there, and get those welded out, and I'll bring you back when we start cutting the door. Here's where I'm at with it. I got all the tubes in, welded up, as you can see there, both sides, this side and that side. So I believe that that gave me back the rigidity from drilling the holes. So now my door, I'm actually gonna make pretty big. If you can see here, here's the outline. I'm gonna make the inside opening 16 inches by 16 inches because I wanna be able to put big logs and I wanna be able to get in there when I need to get in there. So what I'm actually doing is, instead of just cutting this out, like I said, so it doesn't get all flimsy, I had a big plate of 1/2 inch and I went and I cut strips out of it. So I'm gonna make a frame to make sure that it's square, and I'm gonna weld this frame up, and then I'm gonna come back over here and weld the frame around where I marked off, just tack it in there, and then I'll cut the door out so I'll have that rigidity in there. And then what I've done for my door is I had a big like 4x8 sheet or 5x10 sheet of 1/2 inch that I've had laying around for I don't know how long. So I cut the door size out of that. So I cut this, my opening 16 by 16 inside of here, and I cut this to be 18 by 18. So now this will actually be my door. This is a big heavy duty piece of 1/2 inch plate that shouldn't warp on me, should work good for that. And then what I'm gonna do is cut out the opening for my glass and put it right in the center here. And then I have to drill and tap and make some little clips to hold that in. And then that'll be my door. So I splurged a little bit on that glass. You guys don't need it. You don't have to have it. You don't even have to do what I'm doing here. I'm just doing it as a precaution. You can actually get like one of those fire door kits that are like 40 or 50 bucks and it has everything in it, and just cut the hole and stick it in there. Or you can get on Facebook Marketplace and there's plenty of doors on there that you can buy for 30, 40, 50 bucks that you can slap on there. I'm just trying to use what I had so I don't have to spend any extra money on this. But for now, let me get this welded up and then we'll get it on there, and then we'll cut the door opening out. Okay, so what I've done is kind of went through here and cut the corners here just so I could get my grinder in once I get this frame in there and get this cut out. So I'm gonna hold this up here where I think it's kind of level and looks good, and then I'm gonna tack it and then push it in there, tack it all the way around, and then probably weld it out and then cut this inside piece out and push it out. Putting this strap on here really helped because I know when I cut that thing, it kind of bounced out a little bit. So I know this helped me keep the strength in here, which is great. So what I'll do is just weld here, 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 and then so I don't have to get underneath, I'll just weld this top right here to this. And then that should seal that outside gap too. What I did was I marked out for this glass plate right here, minus -1 inch because I have an inch gasket for this. And then I took my big saw here, dropped it down in the center there, started the cut, and got as much down as I could. And then I took my cutoff wheel, finished the cut all the way out. Now, the glass is gonna sit on there like that. And like I said, I've got some 1 inch wide gasket material for this. Then what I'm gonna do is maybe drill and tap 2 here, and 2 here, all the way around, and just make little tabs out of little flat stock, and then actually put some gasket material on the back of those so it's not metal on glass, and then just tighten them down and get it to hold, and that should hold really well. But before I do that, I need to figure out my hinge situation. So I'm gonna look around and see what kind of round stock or big bolts and stuff that I have, and kind of come up with a plan for that. And then the plan is, after I get those made, I'm actually gonna put my door up on the heater, tack it on there where I want it, and then tack my hinges on after that, and then pop it back off and finish welding it all the way out. So let me see what I can round up for some hinge material, see if I can get those made. So this is what I got. This is a door, as you saw, I cut it out. These are some kind of makeshift like hinges that I made. And what I did was I went and got some pipe, and I got these bolts, and I put the bolts in my lathe and turned them down until they fit inside these tubes nice and smooth. And then what I did was I welded a piece of stock on here to kind of push this away, so when I open it, it'll open away. What I did was tack the door where I wanted it, and I tacked this piece here so I could set the door on it and kind of position it where I need it. So now I'm going to cut the tacks off and see if it swings. Got it. There we go. Yeah. There it goes. That should be good to go. So now I have to drill and tap and make some kind of handle that will latch in over here. So I'll probably just get some flat stock, have it come straight out, put a slit in it, and then another piece of flat stock or something like that, or a wrench or something that will go down in there. And just, you know, I can just latch it up. Here's what I think I'm going to do with the latch. So I just welded this bolt right here to the backside. And then I've got a washer back there and a nut here, and then I'll probably put another nut there and then kind of cut the end off. And then I welded this piece right here, and what I'll do is close this all the way up, mark it where it's closed all the way, and then just take my grinder and just grind a notch in there that this will slide into. And then here I'm gonna kind of cut this halfway through and bend it back towards me so I actually have a handle like this. Maybe that'll keep it cooler. And this is 1/4 inch also, so hopefully it won't transmit that much heat through that bolt, through this, through those washers, and then through that handle over here. All right, so I got the door done, got the latch done. You see here I just double nutted this, tightened it down here, and it works perfect. Nice and snug and tight. And then I just welded this piece of stock right here, and then wherever that landed I needed it tight. I just took my grinder and kind of grinded that down. So that works excellent. Shuts up nice and tight. And then I also did the airflow part, and I cut 2 big squares out of there. I put some stock in there and just made this little sliding lever right here to open or close it. So see, that's probably all I'm ever gonna need. That's a huge opening, but I did make it to where it will go all the way back there so that I have, you know, dual openings. That's about 3.5 inches wide, so I'd say that's plenty of air. I don't think I'm ever gonna need more than that going through there. That's monstrous, really. But I just try to keep it pretty simple, you know. Got this here, opens, closes, easy to maintain. This is nice and simple. The hinges work out great. The door comes off smooth. And you can see already from me welding, the smoke kind of stays in there and comes out the top when the door is closed. So that's a good thing. That means it's already kind of drafting. After I finish that up, I think tomorrow I'm going to build a box around this and then install a fan into that box. And then I have to make like a 5 3/4 tube so that the exhaust pipe will fit on top of it, and I have to cut a hole and install it in there. As you can see, I'm in a rush because it's already getting cold in here. You can already see my breath. So I'm really busting ass to try to get this done before the freeze kicks in. A lot of the fabrication I kind of skipped over actually filming because it's kind of boring, it's repetitious. If you guys do want to see more of that longer form content, I thought about starting a Patreon that people can join, and I can post up longer forms of video that have a lot of the work in it. So if you guys would be interested in something like that and it'd be worth my time, just leave a comment below, and I'll start making longer forms of the videos with more of the fabrication in it. So for now, I'm going to start working on that tube on the top and this box around the back here and installing the fan. Check this out. I've made some really good progress. I got the exhaust pipe welded in right here. I was actually able to just use a piece of this stove pipe. I was able to turn my welder down real low and get some nice welds on that. It's really, really solid. And then I made a box for this exhaust fan here. And then I just cut a cutout in it and I tack welded the frame of that to this. And it pumps out a lot of air through those tubes. I don't think it's physically possible to pump any more air through those tubes. So I stood all the way over there by the door, and I could feel it all the way over there by the door. When I opened the door, I could feel air blowing on me. And if you notice, I also managed to move it from over there to over here, which was not easy. I had to do some ancient Egyptian technology, and I had to take that pipe and stick it under there and roll it, stick it under there, roll it, move it over, roll it until I got it back where I want it. So now it shoots right down the center of the shop. The next step is to run my exhaust up and then go out. And what I want to do is make a frame right there with a piece of metal in it as like a heat sink so that the hot tube isn't touching any of the wood or any of the metal. I mean, it's all steel up there, but still, I like to have that. So I'm going to make that, mount it up there as far as I can, shoot it out to a 90 and shoot it up over the building. Then we should be ready to fire this thing. So I made some major progress on this thing, and it's about time to do the first test fire. There's a couple more things left to do. Check it out. So first off, I have the door all the way done. I've got the glass installed. I've got my handle made. And I've got my gasket material all the way around. And it works awesome. It seals, if you can see here, it seals up really, really tight. There's no light that comes through there, no air that passes through there. Same thing with this glass. So check it out. And here's how I got my glass in here. I actually drilled this and tried to tap it, and you can see here, I broke 3 taps trying to tap this. So I just went with this option, and I kind of made these little tabs, and I put gasket material on the end so it wouldn't break the glass. And then I just heated these welds up real good so it kind of pulled in on it a little bit, and it's in there nice and tight. That has no gaps in it at all either. And then I did my exhaust pipe. So right here I have 10 foot of exhaust pipe going straight up. So this is 6-inch pipe, and I know what you guys are thinking. You should go with 8 or 10, and that's exactly what I thought. But I've done monstrous research on this, and the reason I'm going with 6 is because all the research I've done on this volume of wood burner and the 6-inch pipe, the theory is the 6-inch pipe will keep the gases hotter up higher, and since they're all inside here mostly, I should get a good 10-foot run, and it should just pool like crazy. If it doesn't, I'll upgrade to 8. Online, it even says if you do want to upgrade to 8, still keep the 6 for your 10-foot run and then go 8 out here. So I'm pretty sure this will pull like a freight train. What I've also read about 6-inch pipe, that a lot of people have problems because don't have enough vertical lift first before they go over, or they've got too much horizontal over. So I did the math on it, I researched, and I kept it where it's only going 3.5 foot that way before it goes out and goes up. And I tried to keep it so it's not an exact 90. I kind of made it go up a little bit. So hopefully that'll be good. So the last 2 things before we can start our first fire, I've got this commercial grade mason sand, dried mason sand. I'm going to put 4 bags of that in the bottom. And then I've got these fire bricks right here. I don't think those are going to be enough, but it'll be enough to get us started, and I can go grab some more. It's kind of hard to judge how much you need when you're there in the store, but that may be enough sand. I hope it is. If it's not, we'll go grab some more. The time has come for the first fire of the wood furnace. Check it out. Like I was explaining, I put those 4 bags of dry mason sand in there, those 4 boxes of brick, and they were perfectly enough, if you can see in there. It lined it great. And the sand I kind of sloped down here in the front so we have airflow going in there and under the wood. I got it stacked in the middle with wood. I'm not all the way to the tubes yet. I'm just trying to be a little bit cautious with the first lighting, just in case something goes wrong. I can put that fire out pretty easy, but I do have a decent amount of wood in there. That wood right there probably would have filled the old furnace that I built last year. This first fire of this also, what I want to do is burn off all this paint. So see all this paint on here? I'm gonna let all that burn off. I got my door open there, got my door open there. I'm gonna turn my overhead exhaust fan on and put some exhaust fans on the floor to kind of move this air out of here. And I wanna just burn off all this paint. So the way I'm gonna start my fire is I've got this weed burner torch right here. I'm just gonna light this thing, stick it in there, close the door up a little bit, and just let it start. Nice. So I'm going to try to preheat the stack, see if we can get some draft going through here first before I light the fire. Check out what I figured out about starting a fire. So I made my vent on the bottom wide enough where the weed burner will actually go in there and I can close my door all the way. 0 smoke in my building. Check that out. 0 smoke. The weed burner goes right in there. And you can see the smoke right there rolling up. See the smoke trying to roll up? See it rolling by the door? It's all going right up the flue already. Nice. I got nothing coming out of there. And it's getting hot. I can hear it in there. So I'll bring you back once it gets raging. So it's been about 7 minutes and the fire is raging. So it only took about 7 minutes with the weed burner to get this fire completely just rolling. And you can see here all the paint and stuff is starting to burn off. It's getting real hot. You can see I got the fan there sucking it all out. I got the upper fan on. And you could see down there, I don't know how well you can see it, but the smoke is rolling in there, and you can see it wanting to puff out a little bit, but it sucks right back in. So that tells me that 6-inch pipe is drafting really good. And like I said, it's only been like 7 or 8 minutes. That is raging. And you can see the side of the tank there starting to turn black where the paint's burning off. And I've got a good draft. I can see it pulling all that stuff that way. But I also have to remember that this was a used oil tank for like home heating oil. So all that old oil that was in there is actually burning out of there too. So that's going up out the pipe, and that's probably smoking quite a bit too. So that's working good. It looks like the 6-inch is drafting good. You can see up there, the pipe's blowing really, really good. I mean, it is smoking. There's definitely a really good draft, and it was a lot worse when I first started, and it's already starting to clear up. Like, it's starting to get a lot lighter looking, so that means it's getting really, really hot and burning off. So far, so good. I'm gonna let that stuff burn off. I'm kind of gonna stay out of there because it's getting really bad now. I knew it would. I should have stripped some of that stuff, but I really didn't want to do it and didn't want it all over my floor, so it is what it is. My plan was to burn it off, and it's burning off pretty good. Okay, it's been about a week and a half, and I've put about 6 loads of wood through this thing, and I've done a bunch of experimenting with it to see what works and what doesn't. Let's go through it. So it's 37 degrees in here right now. I'm just now starting a fire in it. So for anybody that questions, is the 6-inch round exhaust pipe good enough for this big heater? Yes, it is. And this is how you can tell. I've got some wet wood in there. That's really all I had. You can see here, a bunch of this stuff is still wet. I kind of try to dry it out beforehand, but it doesn't work so well. And you could see the smoke literally billowing and rolling right back in there. So this whole thing is filled with smoke right now. And like I said, there's zero smoke coming out of this air inlet right here. So that's the first thing. So another thing that I read online that I tried that big boilers and furnaces have is called a bypass dampener. So I tried that, totally didn't make any difference at all, so I just welded it right back up. But you can see right here, I had a little door here with a hinge on it, and when I went to load it, I would open it up, and it's supposed to pull the air from here, and it does. No smoke came out of there. But over here, when I opened the door and I had smoke coming out, it made zero difference. Like right now where I got that little puff of smoke coming out, if I would have opened that, it made zero difference. So I don't know if it's just this situation or not, but I wouldn't mess with a bypass dampener. It does zero for you. So what I found with this furnace is just don't open it. I've got the window in there. I load it with enough wood that it'll last, a couple hours. And the way I get started is the weed burner. So I just stick the weed burner inside of there. I let it start all that stuff for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, and then it goes from there on its own, and it just starts rolling. And right now it's 37 degrees in here. We'll take a temperature in about, 40 minutes when this thing gets rolling, and we'll see what it gets up to there. I've got it up about 15, 20 degrees from whatever the temperature was outside in here. And that's without any fans up here, so I have to go run some fans up here to blow and circulate my air. But until I actually get up there and install a couple of fans blowing down, I'm not going to be able to maximize the heat coming out of this heater. But it does warm it up in here, and I can work in here. So that's all I was after. So my ideal scenario for this would be to find some logs, like 4-foot logs, 6-inch round, 8-inch round. Get the fire going, let it burn down the coals a little bit, and then just shove a bunch of those 4-footers in there, and I think that would burn like all day. The only problem with the split wood is once it gets going, it does burn really fast in this. I can only close the flue so far and the dampener so far before I start to get smoke kind of rolling out of there. So I can only drop it down so far to kind of muffle the fire down. So that's the only negative I see to having a furnace this big. You just need a lot of wood. But I do plan on converting it to waste oil. I have a whole 350-gallon tank of waste oil outside. I've got all the pipe and all the stuff to do it. That was one of my plans to begin with. So that's going to be one of my future videos. If you guys are interested in that, make sure you follow the channel and have your alerts turned on so when I post videos, you'll see that. Because I have access to unlimited waste oil, I think that's going to be a great solution for this heater. Because all I have to do with it is heat the tubes. I don't have to worry about heating the big pipe around it. So let's let this thing get raging, and then let's get some temperatures. It's been about 30 minutes that I've had it running, I just looked in there. I've got some nice blue flames up at the top. So what I need to do now is open the door, spread the wood out, reload it just to keep it going, and maybe get it a little bit hotter in here. So here's what we got. It's 48.6 degrees in here, and it was 37 degrees when we started. So we've got it up a good 10, 11, almost 12 degrees in about 30 minutes. 30, maybe 40 minutes total. Now when I spread that wood out, throw some more wood on top of it, we should be able to get it up a little bit higher. For me, 50, 55 degrees is working temperature. That's totally fine with me. I don't need it any hotter in here than that. And like I said, when I get the fans installed up here and start pushing the hot air back down, it's gonna be even warmer. So right now you can see the fire raging inside of there. I don't know if you can see through that window very well. And this thing is just pumping heat out. Like I can barely keep my hand in front of those tubes, it's so hot. I think that's about all I can ask out of this heater. Once I get some logs and I'm able to stick them in there and burn full logs, I think it'll get hotter and stay hotter longer. But other than that, I think this was a win for a budget build. I've tried a bunch of stuff to try to keep that smoke from rolling out of the door when I open it to load. Like I said, I tried that bypass dampener, didn't work. I also installed this high temperature exhaust fan that I had laying around, does zero. And that was like $250, and people swear by those. But maybe if you have a little home heater, that'll work. But for this type of heater, it does zero, makes zero difference. So don't waste the money on that, because that's $200 there that I would not spend. Like I said, when I do open it, like if I open it right now, I am gonna get some initial smoke coming out while I load it, but it goes away as soon as I close the door. So I kind of just have to live with that right now. It's not that bad. If any of you guys have any suggestions on how I can get that smoke to not roll out of that door when I open it to load it, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. I read them all. I'd definitely love to implement it. If you found the video entertaining and informative, give me a like on the video. If you want to see more content, subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate everyone that's watched and subscribed to my channel so far. If you want to go above and beyond and support the channel more, I have some of these custom-made beanies I had made down below. It's winter time. It's the perfect time to get one. If not, that's cool too. See you on the next one.